Alignment is one of the most overused words in leadership. It's also one of the most misunderstood. Most leaders think alignment means peace or passion or finally feeling settled. But that's not why leadership feels heavy when alignment is missing. Alignment is not a feeling, it's a system. Hi, my name is Tammy, and welcome to a Leader's Purpose podcast. I'm an executive leadership strategist and advisor, and I work with senior leaders and their teams who are already capable, already trusted, but already know that leadership has started to feel heavier than it should. This podcast is where we talk about leadership beneath the surface, the internal systems, decisions, and the pressure most leaders carry quietly. This isn't about motivation. It's not about fixing yourself or your team. It's about clarity, so leadership gets lighter, cleaner, and more sustainable, bringing joy and fulfillment back to leadership and your life again. A few months ago, I realized something about my Apple Watch that surprised me. I had an Apple Watch 5. Yes, I know, it was old. It was still worked. The battery lasted most of the day, counted my steps. I could start a workout. It wasn't broken. It worked just fine. Then I upgraded my phone. I went from an iPhone X to an iPhone 16. And almost overnight, actually it was as soon as I went online, my watch stopped talking to my phone. It still could count steps, but they didn't go anywhere. It still tracked workouts, but nothing was logged. And my most favorite feature, the Find Your Phone feature on my watch, it couldn't find my phone anymore. The data existed, the operations were there, but the system couldn't handle it. What messed with me is that it wasn't the fact that it didn't work. It was that some things worked and some things didn't. I couldn't trust it. I didn't know I couldn't depend on it. And I didn't know what data mattered anymore. So I kept thinking, this should be fine. Why is this so annoying? My watch wasn't failing. It was outdated. And this is what happens to a lot of leaders. Their internal leadership system was built for an earlier version of their role. It still works, but it doesn't integrate anymore. You make decisions, but they don't hold. The conversations happen, but they don't land. Effort is real, but it feels scattered. And you're doing the work, but you're doing it in a way that you're so tired that rest doesn't fix it. Or here's another example. If you're driving home after a meeting, replaying a sentence or conversation you already had, not because you were wrong, but because you were wondering how it landed. And then you realize you've been doing that for the last 3 meetings in a row. Alignment isn't about motivation or mindset. It's about whether your system can support what you're carrying. And what makes this tricky is that most leaders think they already know what alignment is. They hear the word and assume it's emotional, peaceful, passionate, settled. But when leadership feels heavy, those definitions don't help. Because the issue isn't emotional, it's structural. So alignment gets dismissed as abstract because leaders feel the cost of it, but they don't have language for the cause. This is many times when I'm talking with leaders and they're like, oh, we don't need alignment, we need work. But the thing is that you can't have work without alignment. By definition, alignment means the correct or appropriate positioning of parts in relation to each other. So when something is slips out of alignment, it still exists. It just doesn't function cleanly. And so this is where most leadership misunderstandings begin. Is because leadership isn't about mindset. It isn't about peace or feeling settled. It's about whether your leadership operating system still fits the leader you are now, and even the person you are now. What worked earlier in your career may still look functional. The book that you read and took advice from still is valid, but under pressure, it creates drag. You hesitate where you didn't used to. You second guess your decisions after they were made. You absorb the emotional weight of your team that is not yours to carry. Leadership starts feeling heavier than it should. You're leading a different team now. You have different stakes, higher stakes. You have different visibility. Most likely you have more visibility. Every decision matters more. Sometimes even a different mission. So no amount of motivation fixes a system mismatch. And things that got you here won't get us where you want to be. The things that got you into this role today, it won't get you to the role you want tomorrow or to be the leader that you want tomorrow. In my work with senior leaders, I see this over and over and over again, that they're not lost. They're not broken. They're not even disengaged. They've simply outgrown the system they're still running. They still have the higher standards for themselves and their people. There's more eyes on every decision they make, and more people are affected by small missteps. So they feel the weight of their leadership more. And yet they're still using the same internal operating habits that they developed 5 or 10 years ago. That mismatch is what creates the friction. And the friction always costs energy. This season of leadership doesn't reward effort alone. You probably have seen that by now, because if we became successful simply by the effort, we would be uber successful, right? Because you're not afraid of hard work. But this season, it rewards clarity. We have plenty of information. We have so much information at our fingertips that it's paralyzing, which is why clarity and focus, really, but that's a whole nother conversation. Clarity is what is the leadership. I'm thinking of the word, like I just lost it. Sorry. You know how I do this. Clarity is the capital that we're looking for. There we go. The currency that really does pay off. And clarity isn't about having better answers, more answers, or the perfect answers. It's about having a system that supports how you decide, how you communicate, and how you hold resolve under pressure. And if you're listening to this and you're realizing that your team is carrying more than they should, conversations feel heavier, decisions don't settle, or leaders are compensating or overcompensating, I offer sample sessions of the Line Leader series. It gives a team a chance to experience this work together and to see clearly where clarity needs to be built into the system, not carried by the leader. You can book a leadership strategy call at tammymariecoaching.com/call, and we'll walk through what's happening beneath the surface and whether a sample session makes sense. So alignment isn't about finding yourself. Just like my watch wasn't broken, most leaders aren't either. They're just running a system that can't sync with their role anymore. Before you go, I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me. I know your attention is valuable and I don't take it lightly. If this episode gave you language for something that you've been carrying, I'd love for you to give me a rate and review on the podcast. This helps the conversation reach others and other leaders who need to hear it. It also helps me see what landed and what you want more of. And if leadership starts to feel heavier than it should, you don't have to figure it out alone. You can book a leadership strategy call in the show notes, tammymariecoaching.com/call. And until next time, lead with clarity, stay grounded in who you are, and choose joy until joy chooses you. Bye for now.